We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
Done a story in a while. We were on a tear of my dad and mom stories. My mom, a recovering convict, and my dad, soon to be, but you never know. But now I want to get back to one of my first jobs ever. I was a cashier at Victoria's Secret. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I was a cashier at Victoria's Secret. Came up with a good, a lot of fun. There was the only guy at this Victoria's Secret in San Diego while I was going to San Diego State.
I was going to say, working at Victoria's Secret as a college kid, you seemed like a pervert, but continue.
Yeah, well, I wasn't kept from that criticism, but there was a lot of questions along those lines. But in there was one of my favorite stories from that time. There's probably a ton, but one of our managers would always in the mics at Victoria's Secret, because when you work retail, they're like, "Hey, this lady's coming through. She needs a new bra, whatever." Our manager would always say, "Make sure everyone's smiling. Make sure everyone's smiling." And everyone's up there fucking cheesing at Victoria's Secret, wanting me to jump off a bridge. But then I was in line, and we're working one of these like semi-annual sales where it's like 7 panties for $27, and these fucking, it's just a floodgates are open. Everyone's grinding the tape. Then this mom and her kid are in line. You could tell the little kid, I'm working this line, just grinding the tape at the cash register. This kid needs to take a piss. You could tell. Needs to pee bad, like really bad. And the mom just keeps like, hold it. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. This isn't going to fly. And eventually, like halfway through the line, kid just stops. You can just see him just pisses himself on the ground. I'm seeing it as the cashier. And I'm like, first thing I think, for only guy here, probably going to ask me to clean it up. I'm like, not going to happen, buddy. I'm not going to happen at this $8 an hour garbage here. So I just keep like, I don't see it. Then I have a couple customers come up and like, hey, I don't know if you saw, looks like a kid might have peed himself on the line. It's like, oh, what? That's crazy. Then I called up, and apparently there's a rule where the manager has to clean up any bodily fluids.
Ooh.
So then this is the same manager that tells everybody to smile. She's like, yeah, I'm on it. And I see her on her hands and knees clean up this kid's piss. And I get on the mic. I'm like, hey, her name was Little K. Hey, Little K, I just want to make sure everyone's smiling. And then it got everybody going at the place. But yeah, Victoria's Secret, handful of stories. The worst thing about that place, worst thing working there, is that every single night when you closed, you had to fold all of the women's underwear. And folding women's underwear is like fucking impossible. Like there's such little frame. There's not, it's a very difficult job. I don't know if people want to like start a podcast on it, but we can definitely do that in the future. But that was one of my first gigs.
I do not have as exciting stories. I didn't work a lot of very cool jobs. I worked at a pizza place as a server, which is very boring. I worked, though, one story I will tell was from college. I would work in the summers as a research intern for the stats professor. And I was doing like coding for her, and I'm in her office, and she's like asking me to show her like what I was doing. And so she asked me to log on to whatever system thing we used. And the way her like desk was set up, she's like sitting at it, and I'm like back over her shoulder. So for me to like get in and type it in myself, it's gonna like have to. We're all gonna have to back out. We're all gonna have to like do this whole thing. She's like, I could just type it in. I'm not like whatever. Just tell me. My password at the time was Big Tits 69. I'm a sophomore in college. I thought that was hilarious.
That's not an excuse. That's something
I would remember. And so I'm like panicking. I'm like, how do I get around? But I don't want to like make it awkward and be like, no, I'd rather type this in myself. So I just start spelling it out for her. I'm like, B-I, and like try not to spell out like words. And I'm like,
B-I-T.
G-T-I-T-S 69.
Oh, I mean, that's actually not the least clever thing.
We just stared at the computer for a few seconds, didn't say anything. She didn't at least say anything about it. So that's good. So maybe she'd never do.
That is wild, man. That is kind of incredible, actually. I don't know. I don't have any stories like that. My password has never been and will never be anywhere near that level. But all the jobs I had were Chipotle, Victoria's Secret, and then I was that I was an after school program leader while I was still trying to be a teacher, and then I was a cashier at my dad's weed dispensary, which was fucking lit. There's some good stories there. But let's get into this stuff. We're gonna go over the divisional round, top and bottom rookie draft classes, listener mailbag, etc. Let's get into first the divisional round preview. Or before I had to catch an early buzz, if you don't mind.
Oh, let's catch a buzz.
Did you see Tom Brady shout out a little PFF or his social media team shout out PFF today? I was kind of fired.
We disproved the popular narrative that Brady gets all the roughing the passer calls, because per hit, per time he's been knocked down, he actually has one of the lowest rates of roughing the passer calls in the NFL. So there you have it. Brady suggested it, and we ended up looking and finding and seeing that it was actually true.
That is, the social media team today was like, what should we do? How should we respond? Blah, blah, blah. And I took a look and I was like, we do have the roughing the passer stuff.
We should respond by asking Brady to send us some of his new clothing line.
No, that's what we want.
Brady, if you're watching right now, sponsor the show. We would love some Brady clothing. Do you see how expensive his shit is?
No.
It's like $100 for like a sweatshirt.
Jeez.
It is not.
Are you surprised?
He's chasing the high end market. I'm not, but I was debating, like when I heard it was announced, I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to buy some of this just for like the fun of it, like when I bought Baker Mayfield's underwear. But no, I'm not going to spend $100 for a joke.
Yeah, you $100 for a joke.
I spent $25 on the stupid Baker Mayfield underwear that say 6, right where my hog's supposed to be.
And they're the most hog?
It's underwear. You're talking about Victoria's Secret over here, and dude's pissed on the floor. But it was.
There was a kid, not a dude.
There's a big 6, and they're the most uncomfortable. Which that's like not what you want showing right where And also, they're the most uncomfortable underwear I own. I'd never even wear them.
I need to get some of those. They're probably on sale at this point.
PSD.
I feel like you can get the Baker Mayfield 6 hogs.
Yeah, they can't give those.
Do they call them the 6 hog? How's it?
Sixer. I don't know.
All right, let's get into Bengals Titans first. Now, I am giving the Bengals the curse.
Okay.
I like the Bengals against the spread and on the money line this week. I think they're going to go to Nashville and win this football game. Now, Derrick Henry, I think, is supposed to be back, but something that did just come up was Janoris Jenkins, starting outside cornerback, who was not on the injury report early, just got thrown on the injury report today. And if they lose him and he's out with an ankle injury, that's a factor in favor, obviously, for the Cincinnati Bengals, especially for a team that arguably has the best, trio of receivers in the NFL right now. I think that could be a significant situation. I think the Bengals press on. I was talking to Mike Quinn. Mike Quinn's on the mic today too, but it's all in Zach Taylor's hands. Zach Taylor goes into this game and wants to throw the football and put points on the board. I think they can win it. If they show up with the same game plan they had against the Raiders, I don't think they can put up a ton of points. And the Raiders, the only reason, again, why they were in that game is that they were a little bit conservative in the cold. It's supposed to be high 30s, low 40s in Nashville. Maybe you see a similar game plan, but man, if they want to win this game, I think they have to turn it on. They have to press the gas pedal down. And ultimately, I think they do. Zach Taylor finds a way. He knows what it means. Goes out to Tennessee. They win and cover the spread. That is currently 3.5.
Yeah, this is. I like the Bengals too, and what you mentioned there, the Janoris Jenkins injury. That's scary if I'm a Titans fan, because that's one of you don't have the depth at the cornerback position to match up with this receiving core. I'm already worried about it, even if he plays, because when you look up and down this Titans cornerback group, they're not big. Janoris Jenkins 5'10". Christian Fulton, 6 foot. That's the biggest dude in your cornerback group. Elijah Molden, 5'9.5". Their backups, Chris Jackson, 5'10". Buster Screen, 5'9". You're going up against a 6'2" slot receiver in Tyler Boyd, a 6'4" outside receiver in T. Higgins. The smallest of the bunch is Jamar Chase, and he's out the most physical too. You are a speed group running into a bunch of power forwards here. Your point guards running into power forwards, and that's a scary proposition if I'm a Titans fan. Now, I will say, the Titans and the havoc they can create from their interior with the stunts and whatnot that they do on their defensive line, I think they're going to sack Joe Burrow a bunch of times in this game. I think they're going to have a lot of success up front. But even still, I think the game plan is max pros, deep shots, get the ball out of Burrow's hands when it's not, and the Bengals should win this game, in my opinion.
Man, so then you're saying we are saying right now that the Bengals are going to the AFC Championship. We are saying
I've said that. That's what I'm saying.
Bengals to the AFC Championship. Quinn, your reactions? Are you nervous because I'm backing them?
Yeah, I mean, I've been nervous all year every time you backed him because it kind of hasn't panned out. But yeah, no, I mean, I think when they locked up that 4 seed, like this was like everybody kind of agreed like this was as good of a draw as they could have gotten, right? Like Raiders and then Titans as opposed to, Chiefs or Bills. I don't know if I'm willing to go as far as to say like I expect them to win, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, to have a path to the AFC title game without having to face the Chiefs or Bills is a big dub for the Bengals in terms of just, and obviously a big dub for the Titans too. But,
Yeah.
But for the Bengals.
I mean, because what is this line if Buffalo is going to Tennessee? Like, I honestly don't even know if Tennessee is favored, right? Like, right now, Bills,
Buffalo would probably
Chiefs.
be favored.
Yeah, Bills, Chiefs right now. The Chiefs
should
are
be
at
favored.
home and are favored by 1.5.
Yeah.
What's the line if the Bengals are going to Buffalo or KC?
Exactly. I think
Like,
it's
that's
like
probably
6.
that's probably way bigger than 3.5.
Like, if they go to the AFC Championship and it's in Kansas City, I think they're like 6-point dogs. Like, I think it's going to be legit a little bit wider than obviously the 3 and 3.5.
Well, they're at home. Tennessee would be. Or are you talking about the Bengals?
I'm talking about Bengals.
Okay,
Bengals to KC. Yeah, I think I'm going to lock it in.
Lock it in.
Bengals against the spread, Bengals money line. Next here, well, before I do, I have to mention the proud presenting sponsor of the Tailgate Podcast. It is Manscaped. Cheers to 2022 and resolutions, or you can actually keep. How about having clean and shiny balls all year round? Our sponsors on Manscaped at Manscaped are here to save your balls this year and make the ball drop in 2022 the cleanest and sexiest ever. Set your first New Year's resolution with good intentions and join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use code PFF for 20% off plus free shipping. Whether it's your solution to whether your resolution is to work out more or travel to new places, be sure to travel to manscaped.com for our exclusive offer. Cheers to new balls in 2022. Not just clean, not just shaved, new in 2022. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code PFF at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code PFF. It's New Year, no pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. Manscaped should partner with Baker Mayfield and get some underwear line out. I mean, if they partnered with athletes and you could get like their number on there, I don't know.
Horrible idea.
That's not a horrible idea. All right, 49ers Packers. You start. You're
Partner
going to the
with more
game.
podcasts.
You got the Packers jersey on. You think it's a big dub. They're favored by 6. It's the widest line of any team favored this week in the divisional round. They are favored by 6 over the San Francisco 49ers.
I am way too close to this game to have an objective take. I'll just say that. Like, I am admitting right now that I'm too close to this. But I will say, if you tell me that the Packers have Zadarius Smith back, that they have David Bakhtiari back, that they have Jair Alexander back, and that they're all fully healthy and going to play in this game a full, 60 snaps, I am betting the Packers on this. If not, I think Bakhtiari will be back. Obviously, he played week 17. I feel good about him being back and healthy. But if Zadarius Smith, Jair Alexander limited, I don't love it because when are the Packers susceptible against rushing attacks? Still are. You saw it against the Browns, you saw it against the Saints week 1. If you can dictate in terms on the ground, you can have success against this Packers defense. That is pretty much, that's the way to have success against a lot of these defenses that sit in those too high shells. We saw it with the Bills against the Colts, and when they had the rushing attack going, how much that opens everything up. So I do worry about that, but I also think a lot of the Deebo Samuel stuff, a lot of Elijah Mitchell having success. Like, this Packers team is very good. They have the second best team tackling grade in the NFL this season. They at least can wrap up in space, and that's something you have to do against the 49ers. So, like Ayuk, Kittle, Jawan Jennings, Deebo, those guys can break tackles, but this is, like I said, a very good tackling linebacking core secondary. So I think the Packers win, but 6 is a lot if this Packers team isn't back at full strength defensively.
Right now, according to PFF Greenline, which you can get an elite subscription for 25% off with promo code tailgate, you can see that 51% of the cash bet on this game is actually on the Niners +6. And PFF Greenline sees value on the Niners at +6 and 1.6% edge. They also see a 0.6% edge on the 49ers on the money line, which I think is currently priced at +206, +205 in some spots. I know that the San Francisco 49ers are a bit of a buzzsaw right now, but there is not a lot of me that wants there's not a lot for me to back for them to win this game. I feel Green Bay wins it, but 6 does feel like a lot. I think San Francisco can keep this game close. I think their playmakers are vastly underrated. Everyone talks about Cincinnati, including myself. But Deebo Samuel, Ben Solak of The Ringer wrote a really good piece on just how valuable he's been to the San Francisco 49ers and how well they've used him. Used him out of the backfield. They've used him at outside. They've used him in the slot. Gadget has such a negative connotation, in my opinion, because it makes him feel like you're gimmicky, right? Deebo Samuel is being used creatively, and he's really fucking good. You know what I mean? And that has been evident in how well he's played after the catch and how well he's impacted this offense. And then you factor in Elijah Mitchell, one of the top running backs from a PFF grading perspective. George Kittle playing well. This offense has playmakers. And Jimmy G, he hasn't. There are a few throws per game that keeps the Cowboys in a game like we saw last week, that keeps people in games. But there are enough throws that I think have them cover this spread against Green Bay, even if it is all the way up there in Lambeau. I think they cover, but the Packers win.
I can get bored with that. I'll take that.
You'll take that.
I don't need a cover. I don't need a cover here.
Rams, Bucks.
I will be there, though, also. Packers game. If you're in town, hit a brother up.
Hit a brother up. How often do you say that?
Daily.
Rams at Bucks. Rams are 3-point dogs going into Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Why am I I think one of my favorite bets this week is Bucks -3.
Oh, is it?
I really like the Bucks to cover the spread and win this game. I think the injuries are obviously a concern, but they got a lot of these guys back now. Obviously not Chris Godwin, but Shaq Barrett played last week. Levante David is back. They're expecting Tristan Wirfs to play. They're expecting Ryan Jensen to play. The receiving situations hurts with no Chris Godwin and no Antonio Brown, but Mike Evans is playing well. Gronkowski is playing well. I think there's enough there for the Bucs that we're going into the postseason with some shakiness. The fact that they got a lot of these guys back. Antoine Winfield Jr. is now back and healthy as well. I think that's enough. I think that's enough for the Bucs to be a feared team, a feared top seed in the NFC. Only 3-point favorites at home. I like the Bucs against the spread and to win.
I do too, and Sean Murphy-Bunting may play as well. He may be back this week. So that would be a fully healthy secondary. Mm-hmm. And that's where they butter their bread. I don't know why I couldn't think of the saying I was trying to think of. But that's where they butter their bread.
Hit me up, brother.
That's what got them to the Super Bowl last year, is the fact that they go 3 deep at corner and 3 deep at safety and talented dudes that can match up with at least what the Rams are throwing out there. So we've made a lot of, we talked a lot about the Wirfs injury, talked a lot about the Jensen injury. Andrew Whitworth may not play in this game, though. That would be a bigger injury to me than either Tristan Wirfs or Ryan Jensen, because Brady gets the ball out. Yes, they have great pass protection. That helps. But when he is on, the pass protection's almost an afterthought. It's almost like Aaron Rodgers with the Packers in that banged up line at the end of the year. It's like when he's really on, the ball is out before anyone gets there or could feasibly get there. So I don't think it's that massive of a deal necessarily that you lose Tristan Wirfs, whereas Matt Stafford in that Rams offense and the explosive plays they generate down the football field are much more dependent on that offensive line. So for those reasons, I like the Bucs as well.
Bucs going to the NFC Championship, which you love to see, against probably the Green Bay Packers, where Green Bay will fall short again in a season that a lot of people didn't expect to see with Aaron Rodgers. Bills, Chiefs. Chiefs opened as 2.5-point favorites. This is the game of the week.
This one's great. This is a great game.
This is the game of the week. Bills, Chiefs at home. Chiefs are opened as 2.5-point favorites. The line has moved now to 1.5. Chiefs are favored by 1.5. And honestly, dude, I like the Bills. I like the Bills to go to Arrowhead and win a team that's obviously comfortable winning in the cold. The first thing you bring up with Arrowhead with a lot of teams is, man, it's going to be cold. Buffalo's born in the cold, bred in the cold.
You do not bring that up with Arrowhead. It's Kansas City. Kansas City's like middle America.
Are you kidding me? Arrowhead's always cold
everywhere is always cold in fucking January.
Shut up. And it's outside. Whatever. I think Buffalo can go to Arrowhead and win this game. Josh Allen's
going to be 48 degrees on Sunday in Kansas City, Missouri. This is not Green Bay.
I'm dumb. What's it going to be in Green Bay? 10?
I think it's highs in the teens, but it's a night game, so it's going to be cold, low.
Well, regardless, throw the weather out the window. I'm an idiot. I like the Bills, man. I think Josh Allen's playing really good football. This defense is unreal. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer on the back end. I think it's enough. I think it's enough to I'm not saying even slow down the Chiefs. I'm not saying blow out the Chiefs, but this offense in the AFC, of any offense, Bengals, Titans, Bills is the one that I think can go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and score 30-plus if he's got to score 30-plus or 40-plus if he's got to score 40. Like, this offense can do it, and defensively, it's the number one ranked offense in EPA per play allowed. It's the number one ranked offense in scoring drive percentage. It is that good of a defense to where I do think that they ultimately win this game.
I like the Chiefs in this one. I like Chiefs to cover. And here's the biggest difference for me. It's that for the Bills to win, you said Josh Allen can go off and win them this game. And yeah, he can. But he has to go off for them to win this game, in my opinion. Like, he has to go out and be that 90-plus graded performance, that elite game that we see every so often from Josh Allen. Because he is that offense. Whereas on the flip side of the ball, the Chiefs can put up points on you without Patrick Mahomes playing a perfect game. You know, he goes for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns last week, and he only earned a 78.0 overall grade. And now you could shit on the PFF grading system all you want in terms of if you think that's justified or not. But the fact is, he hasn't graded out that well this year down the stretch. It's just been kind of like good, but you're still getting the Chiefs offense results because you have Tyreek Hill, you have Travis Kelce, you have Andy Reid calling plays. You have this good system that has adapted to these two high coverages that they didn't have answers for early on in the season when the Bills blew them out. So I think down the stretch, you've seen much more in terms of the screen game getting involved. Jerick McKinnon now looking like a difference maker in the running game that has to be accounted for, that they can actually just rely on that to move the ball down the football field. I think the Chiefs just have more answers offensively than the Bills do, when, like I said, the Bills' answer is Josh Allen going superhuman. Now, that happens, yes, the Bills do win. You know, Josh Allen looks like he did last week. Yes, the Bills do win. But I just think probabilistically looking at this, the Chiefs' baseline offense is just higher than the Bills.
I guess I agree with you. I think if you're predicting a Bills win, you're predicting a superhuman affair for Josh Allen. You're predicting him going in and being as dominant as he has been of late, right? He's been really good down the stretch of this season when, like, weather permitting, right? I think everyone brings up that Bills-Patriots game where they lost, but like that game was like, you throw that one out the window. Like both teams barely could throw the football. I think Mac Jones attempted even 3 passes, but since then he's been dynamite, lights out.
This would be my dump truck of the week.
Chiefs?
Yeah.
Chiefs are going to dump truck the Bills, you think?
What was your dump truck of the week?
I'm going Bucks over the Rams. I think the Bucks dump truck the Los Angeles Rams at home.
All right.
You have to pick a dump truck and you only have 4 games. That's going to be tough. You're going to have some Rams fans or some Bills fans really upset. I think that's the assumption we can make. Before we get to the top 5 and bottom 5 rookie classes, remember, top 5 being most impressive, bottom 5 being most disappointing, right? It's not like, oh, wow, these bottom rookie classes, it's so bad. They completely busted on all of their picks. It's over. It's more looking at, are you disappointed coming out of this year based on how other rookies have performed, who you had available on your slate, all that kind of stuff. But before we do, DraftKings, proud sponsor of the Tailgate Podcast, we're on to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is celebrating with huge odds boost for new customers. Counting down Super Bowl 56, new customers can get 56-1 odds on any team. Bet just $5 and 280 in free bets if your team wins. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the action of the divisional round. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Football Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code PFF and get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 and win 280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code PFF for 60-1 odds at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One for customer restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're going to be at the Super Bowl in LA.
Not the actual game.
Not the actual game, but we'll be there for the media event that is the Super Bowl. For those who don't know, Super Bowl is like really like the biggest part of it is the week of. The week of the Super Bowl is a massive media event for people to go and bump elbows and network or whatever. We're going to be there. Get drunk. Stop.
Not me.
No.
Try January.
Okay.
Oh, wait, that's February. Okay, I'm good then.
For the Super Bowl, we've talked about this a handful of times. We still have not like nailed down our plans. Why not stay a little bit in LA, make some plays? I don't know.
Are you going to?
I'm thinking about it.
I'm not a big LA guy.
Go down to San Diego. Why don't we just fly down? We drive down to San Diego right after the media week. Watch it in San Diego.
I have a dog to take care of.
Dude, fuck your dog, honestly. We were talking about this in the office, actually. This is an interesting tangent. So, Eric Eager had to put down a cat recently that he bought for his kids.
Jesus.
And, it was going to be like
Did he have John Costco do it?
Stop. No one gets that reference.
Man, no one gets that reference. But can I tell the story about John Costco?
Yes, please do.
So John Costco tweeted out a video of him dragging his cat across the John Costco guy.
I need to find this
PFF.
fucking tweet.
He dragged his cat across the carpet and tweeted out a video of it saying the cat loves. Or his son was doing it. His son's dragging his cat by its like paws across the carpet on its stomach, and it's like, oh man, kids love their new cat. And it's like, dude, that looked like cat abuse. You know, like he said no, the cat loves it. He lets us do it every time. And it's like, you watch the video.
I just dropped a tweet in the Tailgate Slack channel.
You watch the video and it doesn't look like he loves it. I'll just say that. And he thought that was a good thing.
So I don't know cats, right?
Thought it was a good thing, one, to do, and then two, to tweet. And that's why I said, did John Costco do it?
I don't know cats, right? Okay, whatever. I've never had a fucking cat. But this video, when I first saw it 3 or 4 years ago now, I was like, what the literal hell? Is that cat dead? I thought the cat was dead and he was dragging a corpse cat. But Costco defended it.
One more story about John Costco. He's the only person I've ever blocked on Twitter.
Wow.
He's currently blocked.
Wow. He's currently blocked. Was it the cat video?
No, he just has awful tweets like every week, month or so. That's what I block him and then unblock him, give him a trial, and then I realized why I blocked him in the first place and blocked him.
This cat tweet is honestly insane. You have to look it up. Just type from John Costco cat. You'll find it on Twitter eventually. But this thing's fucking absurd. How did we get on the Costco stuff?
You talked about Eric Eager putting his cat down.
Oh, we were having this conversation about your dog because you said your dog stinks. Whatever. Yeah. We're having this conversation.
Yeah, literally.
His cat that he had it for like a week and then he got really sick or something.
Oh shit.
And then the vet was like, it's going to cost $6,000 or you put it down. And he's like, I'll put it down. What is the number for your dog?
Oh, don't do that to me. I'm not going to answer that question.
You don't have to, but we were talking about it in the office, but like it was a new cat for the Eric Eager family, right? Yeah. So like $4,000. I'll tell you what, I don't care if my kids fell in love with it in 3 days. I'm not fucking spending $4,000 on a cat.
I mean, I'd spend $4,000 on my dog.
Yeah, but you've had your dog for like
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Now, if we got to 10.
Yeah. There's a number.
There's a number.
I'll say that. There is a number where it's too much. I'm not going to get into specifics.
Okay, that's fine. Really that's fine. I think this conversation has been derailed a bit. The Costco cat comment going to how much would it take to kill your dog. Rookie class is top and then bottom. You go ahead and read your top 5 off first and then debate them through.
So again, this is like what picks they had and how they maximized it. So like value. So obviously the Bengals had a great draft, but they had their pick of the second position player off the board. You know, they had the number 2 pick in a class that has no QBs. It's kind of how you want to look at it. So it's like they better hit it. They better have hit a slam dunk. And they did. So like Bengals, great draft, but like these teams I thought went above and beyond their draft positions and how good their drafts were. Number 1, I have the New England Patriots. Mac Jones, Christian Barmore. We talk about it all the time. Late round picks are great. It's great to get value in the late rounds. Fill out your roster, get someone there. First and second round picks are your franchise though. You hit on those. Your first and second round pick for the way the Patriots did here, Mac Jones, Christian Barmore, you hit on that every single year, you win championships. Yeah. You win a championship with that good a draft. Like flat out, you do. You get difference maker in the first, second round every year, you're winning championships. So that to me, and that's pick number 15, pick number 38, that is a dub. And now you got Ramondre Stevenson later. Not a lot else to write home about for rookie year, but that to me is enough. Number 2, I went with the Kansas City Chiefs. A draft we've talked about a lot here on this show. Nick Bolton, a favorite of ours coming out. He was good, not exceptional, but Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, that's what make this draft. To be able to overhaul your offensive line with rookies doesn't happen. You know, straight up, like it was people worried about this Chiefs line going in the year. And it's one of the best lines of football. So that's because Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith are dudes. And you got them at 63 and 226 overall. And yeah, Smith falls there because
they both played over 1,000 snaps this year too. Yeah. And that matters in my opinion. Like just getting them on the football field and the fact that they can stay is tough.
Number 3 on this list, one of my favorite drafts at the time, still one of my favorite drafts, and this is Miami Dolphins. Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland. Slam dunk, likely slam dunk. Maybe like a nice finger roll at the very least in Jalen Phillips, and then a pretty sick slam dunk in Javon Holland. That is 1, 2, 3 to get those 3 guys on your team. 2 valuable, 2 highly paid positions, and another guy who's just already one of the best safeties in the NFL. That is massive win for them. And even though they did have a lot of draft capital, that's still a great return. Chargers at number 4. Again, Rashawn Slater, about as good as you can do with pick number 13, and then Asante Samuel Jr. That's a win-win for picks 1 and 2. And then finally, rounding it out, Cleveland Browns, Greg Newsome, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Again, win-win, picks 1 and 2. You hit on those. You feel good about those. That is my top 5 drafts.
I viewed it similarly. I moved some things around. I put the Chiefs 1. I think what they got out of Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith is obviously fantastic. And I put them ahead of the Patriots, though. I mean, you debate positional value, right? Hitting on a rookie quarterback. I mean, Patriots could be like 1, 2, and 3, right? For what they've done so far.
Yeah.
Patriots with Mac Jones and Christian Barmore obviously have success. And then I had the Chargers. You had them at 4. I had them at 3. I had put them ahead of the Dolphins. I really liked, I mean, Rashawn Slater, valuable position, even exceeding expectations as it goes. And then Asante Samuel Jr. And the other name I'd mention too is Josh Palmer, who got to saw the field this year and has played well for the Chargers. Dolphins I put at 4 for the reasons you said. I still think I want to see more from Jalen Phillips, and honestly I could have dropped the Dolphins down to 5. And I think I will officially. And move the Browns to 4. I think Browns 4, Dolphins 5 in my opinion, because as good as Jalen Waddle was, I still think a lot of their other picks, and as good as Javon Holland was, I think you want to see more from Jalen Phillips, their other first-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, before you feel that confident. Whereas the Browns, it's like, for where the slots that they got these guys, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Greg Newsome, those guys are obviously exceeding expectations. I put them in 4. And that's kind of where I have it. Chiefs, Patriots, Chargers, Browns, Dolphins. Some consideration for the Broncos, I think. You have to consider a little bit for the Bengals because they got Jamar Chase, but I think those exceeded expectations, and I think that's very close to what you said.
Yes.
Bottom 3 rookie classes, go.
This one's tough. So I said exceeding expectations. So I didn't include the Rams or the Seahawks. They didn't have a pick in the top 50. They had just like no draft capital. What are you gonna do? They didn't get much out of the rookie classes. They were never supposed to get much out of the rookie classes. I debated including the Jaguars on this list because after Trevor Lawrence, it wasn't particularly pretty, and they had a lot of draft picks. But I think Tyson Campbell, there's still reasons to be encouraged about. Walker Little, reason to be encouraged about. And it's like Trevor Lawrence, of the rookie quarterbacks, I'd still take him wholesale, number 1. So I did not include them. Here was mine. And like I said, there weren't a lot of like blown first rounders. And so there's not a lot of teams that I like just vehemently coming away from their first round picks being like, damn, would have liked a do-over. But I do think the Cardinals at pick 16 could qualify as one of them. And with their first pick, Zaven Collins couldn't see the field. Rondale Moore with their second round pick struggled to see the field. Marco Wilson plays the most snaps of any of those rookies, and he's just up and down inconsistent. And like now, like forget him in the 4th round. That's probably a good pick considering, but like it's not above and beyond. He's not so good that he's necessarily even going to be starting in 2 years. Like he wasn't that encouraging as a rookie. So they're number 1, this list number 2.
I think before we move off the Cardinals, I had a few comments there, and my bottom 5 is Cardinals, Raiders, Titans. I think you have Cardinals, Raiders, Falcons, and we'll talk more about that. But I want to spend some time on the Cardinals here.
All right.
Not only did Zaven Collins like struggle to see the field, but do you remember that press conference where Jordan Hicks said Steve Keim called him after the draft and said, hey, we're not going to give you an opportunity to compete for a starting role because we drafted Zaven Collins and obviously have Isaiah Simmons. And like he told that to reporters.
Yeah.
And then,
which was weird.
It was so weird. You never hear that. Like literally never hear that. And then Jordan Hicks plays over 1,100 snaps this year. Like he does start over Zaven Collins. Like obviously going against what Steve Keim intended because Hicks could better see the field for whatever reason. And then the other thing that you mentioned, Rondale Moore, right? I also think it's a rich pick for how they used him. And like, I guess we shouldn't be surprised with how they used him, but I think he had the lowest average depth of target of any receiver in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 0.5 yards. Like if you're going to use him as like this glorified running back, I think picking him at where they did is as electric as Rondale Moore was. And there's a lot of people at PFF that obviously for the right reasons love what Rondale Moore brings to the table. I'm pulling up the stat now, like what his actual average depth of target was. But if you're going to use him that way, it's just gonna be like a low value player. Like that's just like bottom line. It's not gonna be a high value player. I think the official was 1.3 yards. Like running backs have a higher average depth of target than that. To use Rondale Moore like that and draft him that highly, I just don't think that's getting plus value. I don't.
Well, I mean, he just only played 452 snaps. So he played half your snaps. That's also like I don't care how good you are, how dynamic you are, and he is pretty dynamic. Like he did break a lot of tackles still. 452 snaps, you just can't make the impact that drafting a legitimate starter would make. So that's why I put them there at number 1. Number 2, Las Vegas Raiders. I don't want to harp on their first round pick, but it wasn't good. And then
remember, this is disappointing. Right?
Yeah, disappointing. Trevor Merrick, solid. We believed in him. But then you had 2 more top 100 picks. Malcolm Kuntz, Divine Diablo didn't do much. Kuntz had some flashes later on in the season when he actually ended up seeing the field. Diablo as well. But like another draft that's just like you came away with a single high safety, which is almost like single high safeties are placeholders a lot of times. Like that's who you came away with from this draft. So that one has to be called disappointing. And then number 3, I don't know, you hated on this for me for including this, but let me give my rationale. I put the Atlanta Falcons.
There's going to be some Falcons fans that hate that.
They had the de facto number 1 overall pick, like I kind of said about Jamar Chase. You had your choice of any non-quarterback in this draft. And you drafted the 6th best non-quarterback in this draft as a rookie. Now, I'm not writing him off. He's still very good. But if you're a Falcons fan, would you rather have Jamar Chase, Jalen Watt? It's just you, Austin, right now. You're a Falcons fan. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase.
Kyle Pitts or Jalen Waddle?
It's close. I might go Waddle, though.
Kyle Pitts or Micah Parsons?
Parsons.
Kyle Pitts or Patrick Surtain? Surtain, JJ Terrell? Does that interest you?
I might go Pitts over Surtain.
Okay.
Maybe.
Kyle Pitts or Rashawn Slater?
Slater, obviously.
So it's like, that's why I'm including him in this, because now Pitts is young, still in development, but there were a lot of guys talented at the top, and you drafted one that, again, like you said, you probably would have had a bunch of other guys for him, and then you can't get Richie Grant to see the field, your 2nd round pick, in with a safety group that's pretty cheeks, and then you can get your 3rd round pick in Jalen Mayfield to see the field, and he's one of the lowest graded guards in the NFL. So that, to me, like I said, you go 1, 2, 3, and now the Kyle Pitts one, again, he's good. I'm really not trying to shit on Kyle Pitts, but it's just looking at this from a you couldn't go wrong standpoint. They still got, like I said, lower value than like what the pick could have.
Yeah, I just think it's tough to put him in the bottom 3. When you
I know, and I'm really not like, I'm not down on by any means. Mm-hmm. I'm just, there weren't a lot of disappointing classes like right out the gate, except for, like I said, Rams, Seahawks, obviously you're going to suck. You had no picks. So
my bottom or my 3rd, so I had Cardinals, Raiders for the reasons you said, then Titans. Mm-hmm. Titans, I think disappointing is the key word here. Right, Caleb Farley obviously gets hurt, and that's your 1st round pick. But like, if you were concerned about Caleb Farley, it's because you think he's going to get hurt, and he got hurt. Like, that's disappointing, right? Yeah. And then even beyond that, Dylan Radins, who's had opportunity to play this year, did not grade all that well, even compared to some of the other offensive linemen we could have had in the 2nd round. So I do think you have to be disappointed in this rookie class and how much impacted this season. Yeah,
I do think I kind of glossed over the injury guys, but the Panthers and Titans, when you draft guys and they get hurt as a rookie, that's just like it's always put you behind the 8 ball. Like, not a lot of great careers start with guys out year 1. That's just a tough way to begin right out the gate. And then, like I said, their 2nd and 3rd rounders respectively weren't much to write home about.
Let's get to off of the top and bottom 3 here. I think I wanted to also add this stat that the 3 teams with the lowest snaps played by rookies this year were the Vikings, Colts, and Seahawks. A lot of that's because of the picks that they had, but Vikings at 1620, Colts at 1338, and then the Seahawks with the lowest amount of snaps, 1297. We are on to trivia, then mailbag. Or no. Do we do mailbag and trivia? I always forget which ones we do first, Quinn.
We do mailbag first, but
let's do mailbag first. Voicemails.
Whichever one you guys want.
Let's do voicemails.
Voicemails? All right. First one is from, we'll go with Dom C.
All right, lads, a question from one of your international listeners from London.
Wow.
But before I get to my question, I got to give a bit of context here for Renner. So Austin got added to a group chat on Twitter a few days ago where one of my friends subjected the poor bastard to some pretty horrific NFL takes.
These were bad.
And unsurprisingly, Austin pissed all over him. But the low light was that my mate called Leonard Fournette, quote, an elite first round running back. So my question to you guys is, what has been the worst NFL take this season that the other one has made? Cheers, guys.
Oh.
So I got added this fucking random group chat on Twitter, and I mean, normally you don't respond to some of those, but I kind of want the intro was absurd. This guy in this group chat said every good team in the NFL has an elite running back. And I was just like, that's just not true. Like it's literally not true. And then he said, yeah, the Bucs included, Leonard Fournette's an elite running back. It's like, you're high. So I ended up stopped responding at some point because it was fucking absurd, right? Like, I mean, it just didn't make any sense. But I guess your reaction to whether or not Leonard Fournette's an elite running back?
No, he's not. He's not elite running back. But so he's asking for what was your worst take this year that you had?
Oh man, worst take this year? It's been a ton.
Man, I'm
trying to think my worst take.
I think I know what mine is. I said at one point, I'm like, I said Kyle Shanahan may not make it through the season. I said when they were 3-5. I'm like, there's a possibility. Like, I had never thought there was a possibility until I was like, there's a possibility, and now it's like, shit, they might.
No, your worst take is when you said Urban Meyer was the best coaching hire of the offseason.
Oh, I missed. Yep, that was good. That was a bad one.
You said
I have bad coaching takes, apparently.
You said Urban Meyer was the best coaching hire of the offseason, which is a literal joke. I think my worst one was the Eagles stuff. I was fading the Eagles.
Oh, yes, you did say they could my pick for their one overall pick.
And they ended up making the playoffs. Now,
yeah.
Is it the worst situation when they got absolutely blown out and shelled in the playoffs and whatever? But I did see the comment that Howie Rose.
Don't try to excuse it.
I'm not going to excuse it. It was bad. Not as bad as yours.
I mean, I'm not excusing mine away. Mine poop.
Your Urban Meyer one was fucking bad. All right. That was a great question. Appreciate it.
I need to go to Urban's restaurant in Columbus and ask what happened.
Let's go tonight.
Well, the Urban Meyer take isn't necessarily wrong depending on what lens you look through, right? Like from a content and an entertainment perspective, it was a great hire.
You know what we need to do? Thinking about the tailgate tour next year. Week one's obviously the Notre Dame heading to the Horseshoe in Ohio State. We need to record a podcast from Urban Meyer's bar.
Deal.
We need to go all in. However, whatever we got to do, we have to record a podcast from there.
I am all in. Let's book it. Let's book it. We'll get Dave, who I got to shout out David Sofaro, who was formerly an intern on this show.
He was an intern.
He was an intern on the show like when he first started at PFF. And now he's been since promoted to a full-time public relations manager here at PFF and does all the interviews that we book for this show, including the interviews on today, Jojo Doman and Lucida Smith. Fantastic guy. I apologize for calling him still an intern. But Dave, we'll talk to Dave and see what we can do about this Columbus bar. I'm excited about it. Maybe when we get Urban Meyer to show up, who fucking knows? Yeah, I think my worst take was anything I said about the Eagles, but I also probably had some bad draft takes, anything. I mean, there's a lot of bad takes out there. Take the pick. What's next?
This next one is from Riley Lovelace, I believe. Let's see what Riley has to say.
Sounds like a porn name.
Boys, it's full depression season. It's the shitty part of winter. College football's just finished. Pro football's coming to an end. Baseball's nowhere to be seen. I don't give a shit about basketball, and my hockey team's been unwatchable for the better part of the last 10 years. So this got me thinking, what is, considering all major sports, the worst city to be a fan of all of those sports teams?
Wow.
I personally think it's Minnesota, but if you're a Jets and Mets fan, probably a Knicks and Rangers fan, you're probably pretty miserable. I would say Atlanta was in the running, but the Braves really screwed that one up. Could be anybody. What's your guys' opinion?
I think you have to immediately rule out Atlanta. I appreciate the question, by the way, but I think you have to rule out Atlanta, especially because, the Braves just won, and you said the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of like the Knicks, Jets, Mets, because if you're a Jets fan, you're not a Giants fan, and you've seen the success that the Giants had in those two Super Bowls late. Obviously the Giants are shit now, but that matters, right? It matters that they're in a big city and they have it's ample resource, and there is this expectation to be good, and then right across the way you have more competitive teams, right? The Brooklyn Nets have been, I don't know if you're a Knicks fan, you're probably not a Nets fan. If you are a Knicks, Mets, Jets fan, that fucking stinks. And I don't follow hockey, but I don't think the Rangers have been that good either. I think that has to be the worst city, or in consideration, Cincy just won their first playoff game since 1991, and they don't have a basketball team, they don't have a hockey team, and their baseball team also stinks.
I do think FC Cincinnati is the laughing stock of the MLS.
That's right.
Not that I'm a huge soccer fan, but it's bad.
I will say, though, Minnesota, so Minneapolis, Timberwolves are a joke. They've been a joke since KG left. Horrendously, maybe the worst franchise in the NBA, or if not close. The Vikings, now the thing is, the Vikings have been competitive over the years. They're not hapless. They're not, they're not like what the Browns have been for a while, but they also haven't won a championship.
Yeah.
So they're up there, and the Twins haven't won since the 90s. So They're up there in terms of
I think
my
Minnesota's
lifetime.
a great take. Plus, like living, I always factor in
probably
like where
I
you
go.
live, right? Minnesota probably stinks.
And and that's the thing. It's like when you're in, just knowing him growing up in Wisconsin, when you're there, you are everyone's sports fans because that's like
all you got.
you don't have too much else. Like so everyone lives and dies by it, and so to live and die by it, teams like that Minnesota has had is kind of it's kind of shit.
Can I throw out one more?
Yes.
Seattle. Russ is getting ready to leave.
They won a
The
Super Bowl,
Kraken
though.
stink. The Mariners stink. Their basketball team got taken away.
Getting your basketball team taken away is a low key.
I do think a factor has to be like the teams you have, right? Like that's why I think Cincinnati's in play. Bengals haven't won shit. Reds haven't won shit in a long time, and they don't have a basketball team. They don't have a hockey team.
But Seattle drafted Kevin Durant, and now they have to
True. No.
watch him be Kevin Durant. You
That's
know?
true. I
mean,
just think they've won
if
a
it's
Super Bowl
just
too
teams-
recently.
If it's just teams you have, Jacksonville,
Oh, I guess that's
all
right.
they got.
That's true. And the Jaguars stink.
And they're not good.
Nah, that's not a bad take either. Not a bad take either. I guess maybe hope has to be involved. No, let's get to the next one. These have been good questions. Voicemails out here fucking showing up.
Yeah, I like that one. Thank you, Riley. Let's go Key Lime Fred.
Oh, he's back.
Hey fellas, it's Key Lime Fred once again. This week I got something for each of you. We're going to start with Renner. How dare you tell me 2 weeks ago that if the Tits get the #1 seed, then Mike Vrabel is your coach of the year. And then 1 week later, you go on the podcast and say
He's
that
got a
your
point.
award for coach of the year is tied between LaFleur and Vrabel. You went back on
Technically
your
got it.
word.
He technically got it.
And for that, you're in the Key Lime doghouse. It's dark and it's cold out there. Good luck, bitch. Mr. Mustache, I appreciate your support of my tits. You clearly see that this offense is top heavy and the defense is deep. That's the formula. That's the Super Bowl winning formula. It's going to happen. The train's going straight to the top, which leads me to Quinn. I hope you enjoy this week because on Saturday, you're getting your ass popped. Season's over, bitch.
Oh, man. I think you are kind of a bitch for that coach of the year thing.
That a tie is as good as a win.
No.
Brett Favre and Barry Sanders tied for the MVP in what, 1997? Do we say that Brett Favre only has 2 MVPs, 2.5 MVPs? No, you tie is as good as a win. For
I
awards.
disagree. I think right now, if you look at betting odds, I think he's minus 400 to win it, and Matt LaFleur is
I
like
think it was 98 they tied.
Matt LaFleur is like plus 250. So I do think Vrabel ultimately does win it. Now, I don't know. Things could change if he gets blown out by the Bengals this week. And I knew Key Lime Fred was going to be a rival for you, Quinn.
Coach of the year's a regular season. It's already done.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think all of the stuff is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, Quinn, Key Lime Fred's a rival.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he called, honestly, because like if there's a Bengals Tits matchup to go to the AFC Championship game and he doesn't say anything with as much Tits love as he's gotten this year, like I'd be pretty disappointed. So
I think he might have had the same password as you did as a football research intern. Big Tits 69. I don't think he had a question for me. He just appreciated me, which I agree. I agree with the appreciation. Next one.
All right, we got 2 more.
I have a great question for you guys. Now, Austin, I'm going to need you to put your position discrimination to the side for a moment. Okay, I don't need to hear about how you love quarterbacks and want to take them to bed and how you think running backs should be taken behind the barn and shot. I don't need to hear that. But I want to know if you guys would rather have an elite, low-value player like a guard, defensive tackle, off-ball linebacker, or a mid-tier, high-value player like a receiver, a corner, an edge rusher. Now, like I said, quarterbacks and running backs don't apply because I don't need to hear the mustache munkin talk about this again. And then my last question was I really wanted to know if I could hear Mike's thoughts on Jalen Hurts' future with the Eagles. And I really wanted to know, Austin, what you think the Washington football team could do to really build around Taylor Heineke and really get that franchise moving forward. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
I think so. The answer is first question. I think his second question is obviously a longtime listener of the show. Appreciate that. I would rather have a mid-tier corner offensive tackle. Now, pass rusher is where I do think I'd rather have an elite low-value player like a DT or an interior offensive lineman over a mid-tier pass rusher. But like offensive tackle or corner, like getting mid-tier production, I would say is more valuable than a low-value DT.
See, to me, it depends very much on what position we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And like what that would be. I just kind of in a vacuum, I would lean the elite player because I think you want to chase, like at the high value positions, for me being wide receiver, cornerback, after quarterback being like the most valuable, and then obviously offensive tackle, then pass rusher being up there. Like mid-tier is fine, but you want to chase high end at those positions too.
Receiver,
you know,
for
like,
sure.
Yeah, like you want to chase Jamar Chase. Like you want to chase that guy that can win on one-on-one. Like look what the Packers are doing with little one wide receiver that can get open. Like that can be your passing offense.
I think for me though, it's these attacking positions. These like so wide receiver and edge. Yeah. For wide receiver and edge, these are creators. And you need elite, those are premium positions, and you need elite players to win. Whereas with corner and tackle, those are positions where you're just trying to prevent loss. Yeah. Like you're trying to not lose consistently. Whereas mid-tier, I think you can get away with, right? Like having a mid-tier corner, there are teams in the NFL that would pray for one mid-tier corner, let alone, a handful. And I think same for offensive tackle. And I think that's why OT corner, I think I take the mid-tier, but if it's pass rusher or wide receiver, you have to chase eliteness.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it in that. You want like 3 mid-tier corners over 1 very good corner, and you want 1 very good wide receiver, 3 mid-tier wide receivers, probably.
Yeah. Last one.
Yep, last one.
What's up, guys? I'm sitting down to watch Monday Night Football, and I just can't even fathom that Eric Weddle is going to start at safety for this game. And I was thinking, I got a little bit of a spicy take here, and I wanted to fire it off and get your guys' opinion.
Let's go.
But if Eric Weddle plays this game and finishes this game, should he not be comeback player of the year? I mean, if you told me at the beginning of the year Dak was going to come back strong, Joe Burrow was going to come back strong, anybody else who got hurt was going to come back strong, J.J. Watt would get hurt midseason and force to come back and make a big deal about it, and he would come back strong, sure, I would believe all that. If you would have told me Eric Weddle would come back and play in the playoffs, I would have told you were high and Eric Weddle retired 3 years ago. So I think if he completes this game tonight, and especially if they go on a run or if he does anything, he should be a lock for comeback player of the year. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks.
I mean, he'd need to have, I don't want to like completely throw this out the window. I don't think he'll ever, he's not going to win it, but like he'd have to have like 6 picks in the postseason. But like you said, I think a lot of these awards are locked up, right?
I will say it's unfair that quarterbacks get deference in this award when like Philip Rivers played a game without an ACL. Like it's like not a position that you need. Like you break your ankle, you come back, say you've lost a step physically in terms of running. It's not like affecting your performance. Whereas, Adrian Pierce tears his ACL, comes back over 2K, or like a position player comes back and
this is a good point.
I'm trying to think of like who got hurt last year.
Cam Akers
at a position and come back. That one, but like an injury where it should affect you, like Trent Williams in 2020 comes back from not playing, comes back. Like that to me is far better. You're actually using that physicality of football, and like the rehab and recovery that you're doing is far more impactful to your performance than quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks get it because they're the names too. Like even if they play like shit coming back, they're still going to get it. So
no, I think that's actually a good point, and like
it's unfair.
Has me thinking more about like Nick Bosa this year. I think Nick Bosa's 3rd and comeback player of the year odds behind Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow.
That's good.
Nick Bosa comes back, and like if he's not 100% healthy, he's poop. Whereas with Burrow and Dak, you can play through injuries. We've seen that from different quarterbacks and stuff like that. So I think it's not a bad point. And honestly, you have me on the Nick Bosa comeback player of the year train.
There you go.
Need to start a conversation, start some discourse. The freaking voicemails every single time are fantastic. Appreciate everyone who leaves the voicemails. If you want to leave a voicemail, go to speakpipe.com/tailgate or check out the link in our podcast descriptions on Apple, Spotify, wherever it may go. Shall we get into the normal mailbag?
No mailbag. Let's go.
What did you just say?
I said let's go. I said with the weird. Just continue.
This is from Ben Covey on Apple Podcast. Does Rich Bisaccia deserve consideration for Assistant Coach of the Year? Not sure that an interim head coach is allowed to win it, but he's the first interim coach to take a team to the playoffs since the 60s, I think. And not to mention all the off-field stuff he had to deal with, etc. Seems like even he isn't their coach of the future. He definitely held his own in the game management, all close games down to the stretch, and deserves some sort of recognition of the level of success he got from them. Cheers. My opinion on that is have to tip your hat and like give him credit. I think there has been a lot of credit in Bisaccia's way, right? I think a lot of media, a lot of analysts, and even players, you have players coming out with quotes saying Gruden was what drove us into the ground towards the back half of the season. Bisaccia allowed us to skip some practices if we felt unhealthy and that kind of stuff. Like Bisaccia, I think tip your cap to him. I don't think you give him coach of the year, right? Because there are a lot of decisions he just didn't make. He didn't come in and change the offense, take over play calling, change the defense, take over play calling. It's no, all he did was, Greg Olsen, you're still calling plays without Gruden over the top. And even when Gruden was there, Gus Bradley had complete control of the defense. Yeah. So I don't think, I'm not trying to come up here and be like, Rich Bisaccia doesn't deserve shit, but I don't think you should win coach of the year. I think it's more important. Coach of the year is an off-season decision award. Who you hire as offensive coordinator, who hires defense coordinator, who you bring in, all that shit. I think a lot of the decisions happen on all that stuff, not just so much game management within the last few weeks.
Did you see the thank you notes though that he wrote?
I texted you the thank you notes.
That helps. That helps.
I texted Renner, Quinn, I don't know if you saw this. I think you'd have a good take on this. So Rich Bisaccia, there's a picture of him hunched over a table, scribbling with a fucking pen, thank you notes to every player. And someone tweeted out, it's wow, Rich Bisaccia putting in the effort to write out hand notes to his players. If he did that, I'd fire him on the spot. That's such a waste of time. That's a waste of time. What are we talking about here? You should be studying for next year, prepping for your interview. He's literally right now, as we record this, Wednesday at 5:30, sitting down with Mark Davis, and interviewing for head coach. And he probably spent 2 hours writing fucking handwritten notes to 90 players that he played for him. That's just too much. Type them out. You can still be thoughtful without writing it with a pen.
He probably types with just both his index fingers.
Have a fucking intern do it. I don't care. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It feels like a waste of time. And I don't think the players care. I don't know, though. I could be an asshole. What's your thoughts on Bisaccia, though?
Oh, they went 7-5. It's just, that's a tough sell for me.
That's fair. That is fair.
I got it on the screen. Bisaccia.
Oh, there he is. Look at him.
See, this is the thing. I just can't. I can't get on board with that. And he's in a suit. What is he wearing? Is that a full gray suit? I don't know, man.
The pro move is to do what you said. You type it out, but then you hand sign every letter. So it's kind of both. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's I took the time to actually put my John Hancock on there, but you streamlined your process.
Do you think he puts on lipstick and then kisses the letter to really give it that personal touch?
No.
Okay. Just a thought. All right, let's get to the next question.
That is incredible. On to the next question I have here. This is from Garrett Persecci on Spotify.
That's not how you pronounce it, I'm guessing.
I don't care.
Okay.
Thoughts on Kirk Herbstreit's comments about today's players who opt out not loving football? Would love your opinions, and Renner's mom give her Packers shareholder take as well. What would your mom opinion be on players opting out of bowls?
I don't think so. I don't love football enough, honestly. She's a purist. So no. I have a number of thoughts on this. I don't think what Kirk Herbstreit said was quite right. I do think they love football. I think it's the messaging to these kids that I have a problem with. That is why you see these decisions. That the messaging being that money is the most important thing, is the only factor in decisions like this that need to be made. And that's not, like I said, that's not necessarily the kids' fault. That's us as a culture's fault, saying that that's all that matters. And college football in general, with their prioritization of not player safety and money at all costs, with expanding the playoffs and all these other things. It's how can you not think that money is the only thing that matters at that point? So I think it's these, like I said, I have a problem with that messaging because just my life, seeing other people's lives, money is not all that matters in life. There are far more important things. And I'm not blaming anyone who does make a financial-based decision, and this is far more money than I have or probably will have that's on the line for a lot of these guys. But I do think that, like I said, the sort of messaging of do what's best for your just financial future is the only thing to take into account in these situations is not what it should be. And that they should do what they want. They should, if you want to play a football game, if you want to go out and have fun, go play a football game. There are other avenues for you, especially with NIL now, that you can be in touch with an agent before you even graduate. You can take out insurance policies. You can have them pay for your insurance policies that cover stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are other avenues that don't get talked about. We just say opt out so you can go play. And again, I don't think it's because guys don't love the game as much. It's because they've been told money is all that matters to you. only go chase the money when, like I said, that's our fault.
My official take is any player that opts out of the bowl games does not love football. I mean, they're just making a decision, right? They're making a decision. They're doing it because they do love football and they want to play it in the fucking NFL and they want to play it for money and they want to play it for a long time. But I mean, I agree with you that it's ultimately their call. And like, if they weigh all their options, weigh the insurance policy, weigh what they can do here, there, and there, and they still want to opt out, then they opt out. And if they don't, then they don't. Like the biggest thing needs to happen is that they need to be educated on and like given proper advice on like what are the actual opportunity costs, right? If you play, this is what could happen. If you don't take out an insurance policy, if you don't play, this is what could happen, right? I think they just need to be, I mean, that's just what ultimately needs to happen. It's ultimately their call. Now, like I said, whatever call they make, fuck off. It's whether they like football or not, they're making their call. It's not your choice. Who cares? Ronnie Whitehouse on Spotify. Why is tackling so bad in the NFL? Players lead with shoulder/head instead of arms, and smaller players hit above the waist instead of legs.
I guess I don't think it's necessarily like it's not worse at college tackling, but I do think that it is that way, or that like not everyone is great at tackling because these guys were the best athlete on the field. Literally every single level they played football. They could tackle however the hell they wanted and still bring down ball carriers, like in high school, a lot of these guys in college as well. Like it didn't matter if their form stunk. They were getting the job done because they're freaks. And like we say that a lot with some of these prospects who are projects that like produce, it's like they didn't have to refine their technique to be good at football. And so they didn't. And they got at the NFL and all of a sudden you have to. So I think that's a part of it, but I would push back that it's like that bad in terms of form, like especially like again when you look at other levels.
NC Lions fan 23 on Apple Podcasts. Mike often references not overvaluing seniors who all of a sudden dominate as a senior. They are bigger and stronger because they're in the program longer, and so he writes that. But you also say it because they're older, right? It's about like literal like physical maturity of your body. Yeah. Does Hutchinson fall into this category? Is Thibodeau better for that reason?
I mean, he does. He's a senior, so yes, he does. But I think it's tough, and also that's like why if he would have played like this as a junior, you would be talking. There wouldn't be a debate, Like if this would have been his 2020 season instead of 2021, no one's having that debate over. This would be like Chase Young. It would just be talking about, he's that dude. But he's unique for two reasons. One, he got hurt in 2020. He only played 149 snaps, only two games. And so we didn't see if like towards the end of the season, he was going to put on tape of this caliber. And he was pretty damn good, through those two games still. Like we were calling him a top 30 player heading into the season. It's not like that's jump change. And then two, he changed his body type. It was almost Josh Allen-esque, I'll say, the pass rusher Josh Allen coming out of Kentucky, who he was a senior when he was coming out, still ended up top 10 pick, to where he put on like 20 pounds and was a different player going from junior to senior year. Hutch drops 20 pounds and is a different player going from junior to senior year. So I think that has to be factored in. But again, we're not talking about him like we're talking about Nick Bosa. We're not talking about him like we're talking about Joey Bosa, Chase Young, these top tier edge rushers that have come out in the past, Myles Garrett, because of that, because those guys are juniors and because Hutch is a senior, despite like tape at times looking like that for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing, because he mentions Thibodeau is only 4 months younger.
Yeah.
They're both born in the year 2000. And Aiden Hutchinson was born in August 2000. Kayvon Thibodeau was born in December 2000. So it's like
the philosopher.
The philosopher. some of his interviews have been wild, man. He's an opinionated guy. He's a cool guy. I want to get him on the show. Bitey Mike on Apple Podcasts. Whoever loses TikTok challenge should sign up for an online class at the other's university. Winner picks the class. Mike, make Austin take interpretive dance if you win.
Ooh.
So I like that, but at the same time, I'm not going to fucking drive to Notre Dame, and you're not going to. I guess it's
online class.
Online interpretive dance.
Can you even do that?
I don't think you can.
They wouldn't just let you. Brady Quinn wouldn't let you take classes.
No. Oh, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. I'm gonna do it. I don't care if I win or lose the TikTok challenge. I'm going to enroll at an online class in Notre Dame, and I'm gonna call myself a golden donor to Brady Quinn. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Fucking write it down. I'm gonna look it up. If I can get accepted into Notre Dame and take a class, I fucking will. I will.
That's actually.
Yeah, I took. Here's what I'll say. Yeah, I graduated from San Diego State, but I took, what is it called? Those classes. Like, upper graduate or graduate classes at Notre Dame. I don't have to say I graduated with them or I got a master's, but I took graduate classes at Notre Dame. People are like, oh, wow, how was that? It was fucking good. I'm doing it. I'm looking it up as soon as I get home. That's going to happen. I'm going to be a Golden Domer. You and I are going to be so similar. All right, this is from Bear May 3.
Chop it up, talk about our old times. Back in the
Bookstore basketball.
Bookstore basketball.
Man. Bear May 3. Monetize each of TikToks and loser gives it to the other person or a charity of winner's choice.
See, I think you have a high idea of how much money we can make on our TikToks.
Yeah.
How many followers are going to get
It's
here.
not going to happen.
But not going to be that much.
I mean, unless I start, you know who did follow me on TikTok?
Who?
Your ex.
Oh, which one?
The one that cries on TikTok.
Oh, no, don't bring that one.
Dude, there's now I see her TikToks. I scroll through them. She's like crying on. They're rough, dude. I got to start doing more of that stuff.
She vlogs now.
Does she vlog?
Yeah.
On TikTok?
Yeah.
I respect it. Honestly, I can't debate it. I respect it.
I don't know if I don't know about those ones. The monetization one, we're not going to make enough money.
No. I'd
The
rather do the
classes one. I mean, I would go out to San Diego. I'll be honest. But
swear.
I am not about higher education anymore. I'm off that train. So
I'm taking classes in Notre Dame just because I'm
going to solicit more ideas, and I need to post a TikTok too, to be honest. But
I'm gonna take classes at Notre Dame, and I'm gonna send a DM to Brady and say, "Hey, man, fellow Golden Domer, can we do anything?" I'll never forget. I will literally never forget the first time I fucking meet him at the combine.
Yeah,
he stares me up and down, my hobbit ass, and he's like, "Where'd you go to school?" I was like, San Diego State. He's like, okay. And then like literally turns back to you.
You were invisible.
I was invisible. I was literally invisible. All right. This is from Chick from Campbell, which is obviously a longtime listener of the pod. They know. Stetson Bennett and Bryce Young are nearly the same size. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Stetson Bennett's that small?
Bennett's smaller.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bennett isn't mentioned as a draft-worthy QB. I don't know why I said it like that. Why is size an issue for one and not the other? That's a question I've been asking for a long time. I know Bryce is way more talented, but biggest knock on Bennett is his size.
I would argue the biggest knock on Bennett's his performance, to be honest. But
yeah, it's definitely not just his size.
It's more when you don't perform well. And we've talked about this at the quarterback position, especially. Guys like, Keaton Slovis, who don't have tools. And like Joe Burrow, who wasn't considered like a prospect until he started playing elite football. Like when you don't have tools, there's not this, or at least right or wrong, there's not this perceived growth avenues to where like his arm is not big. So like, where does he fit it? Like you're just like you're ticking all these limitation boxes where it's like, okay, he's not going to be able to attack down the football field in the NFL. At 5'11", reading defenses, seeing over the line, like starts to be a legitimate thing at that size. When you're 180 pounds, injuries are a real risk. Like you're hitting all these tick boxes that are limiting you. And so you can, hand wave those away when the guy plays elite football. But when you've seen him for 5 years at Georgia and he's never played anything borderline close to that, there's just not the NFL doesn't see avenues for growth. Like I said, right or wrong, maybe there is. Maybe he turns into fucking Joe Burrow next year. No one knows. But he's not going to get that chance because the track record of guys who are sort of in that mold, it's not good.
Can we just be happy if he peaked? I mean, Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, I don't think Bennett's too worried right now.
That guy peaked, bro. That guy is. No, I'm not. I mean, obviously, you want him to have success in the NFL, whatever his dreams are. But man, he's not had a bad run at it. This has been it's been a good football career for Stetson Bennett, all things considered.
He's going to be on the radio in Athens and own a couple restaurants and make six figures a year for the rest of his life.
Exactly. Is that a bad gig? Is that a low floor?
Some might say that's the best gig.
Exactly. That might be better than going to the NFL.
Football, not having any sort of consequences.
That's what your job is.
Can't break your collarbone doing that.
This is from, you can. I'll try. This is from Kenny D3429. Malik Willis is the best QB prospect in this class, period. He's coming in and having takes. This is Kenny D3429. His athleticism raises his floor, and he has highest upside. This motherfucker might be a scout. I'm not saying Lamar, but I could see a similar situation. What am I missing? Missing a job offer, if you ask me. This guy's got some takes.
All right, so one, accuracy is an issue, footwork's an issue. Like he has a lot to clean up, and like pure project, and highest upside in terms of athleticism, arm, and like everyone's going to bring up Josh Allen. So I kind of just want to say, like, everyone brings him up and like, oh, Zach Wilson could be Josh Allen. Oh, this guy, that guy could be Josh Allen. Josh Allen.
We all could be Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, people need to know Josh Allen's backstory. He was 6'3", 180 pounds coming out of high school. He was from a town of 8,000 people in Central California.
What town?
It was like Firesburg or something. I can't remember.
I'll take a look. Oh, Fireball.
Fireball. There you go. He did not focus on football. He played basketball, was their league tour basketball team, was a pitcher on the baseball team, did not go to like 7-on-7 camps. He was a 3-sport athlete who then went to Reedley Junior College before going to Wyoming for 3 years and was drafted at 21 years old. He at no point had good coaching. You know, like that's what I'm saying is like he at no point had quarterback development in his background at any sort of what anyone would call like high level, and never played like competition that was anything like the NFL and what he saw there. And so for him to improve upon stuff, like there were legitimate reasons why he looked raw as hell at Wyoming. Now,
He lost to San Diego State in the Mountain West Championship 2016.
Malik Willis is from just outside of Atlanta. He went to Westlake High School that has over 2,000 kids. It's in the largest division in football. They played in the state finals there. They had Pac-Man Jones, Cam Newton, AJ Terrell went there. He went to a program that like develops you as a football player. He spent 2 years at Auburn, 3 years at Liberty. He's 22, going to turn 23 after he's drafted. He doesn't have as many excuses for like why this guy might be raw technically. Now, not to say that like he won't develop more, and he will. He definitely will develop more. But it's like Josh Allen was a project that could actually be fixed because there was no one ever tried to fix him, you know? Multiple, like Malik Willis has had, I just assume, now I don't know for sure. Obviously Auburn fucking chose Bo Nix over him. So I don't know what they are doing at the quarterback position, but like he had more of an opportunity there. So that's kind of why when everyone says, is he the next Josh Allen? Well, like show me a guy who like really never played quarterback ever before. And then I'll like, that was Josh Allen.
Who is also 6'3". Like also Malik Willis is small, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Also 6'5", 240. It like actually legitimately grew into a monster. Whereas Malik Willis is still 6'1". That's still going to be an issue for him. Yeah.
I think that was a well thought out answer, Mike. And honestly, to respond to Kenny D3429 like that, who came in hot, I mean, I think he's going to respect it.
No, I that's not to say that Malik Willis is not, but I've seen just a lot of people like say, Josh Allen was inaccurate year one. It's like, show me what's the reason why he's inaccurate. Like what about him is inaccurate, and then we can talk.
I also don't think you can understate the size. Like the size of Josh Allen and like the arm talent of Josh Allen is just a totally different ball game.
Yeah. And Malik Willis is, as a runner, at that good. Like he's as good as Josh Allen, if not better, as a runner. Like he has pure rushing ability. I would spend, if he said he wanted to switch to running back, I would spend probably like a third or fourth rounder on him as a running back. Like that's how good he is as a running back. But you also need to pass.
Where's Malik Willis currently positioned on the big board? In the 50s?
He's in the 40s.
40s. This is from Obungaloo on Apple Podcasts. What are the top tier players in the 2023 draft? Way too early, top 5 maybe. Go ahead.
Okay, I just gave you a top. I'm going to run through like top at every position here that I've kind of seen.
Let's do it.
Quarterback Bryce Young from Alabama. Heisman. Wide receiver Keyshawn Boutte from LSU. Maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba from.
I think it's Boutte.
Boutte. Oh yeah, sorry, it is. Boutte. Jack Smith and Jigba. Those guys are probably top training wideouts. Running back Bijan Robinson, Texas. Love that dude. Tight end Michael Mayer, Notre Dame. Also love that dude. Close from Cubcath down the road here. Offensive tackle Peter Skoronski, Northwestern. Remember the name. Next great Northwestern tackle.
Hard not to. That's an amazing name.
I think he's probably going to be OT1. Cooper Beebe on the interior offensive lines. Kansas State offensive tackle. Probably going to play in the interior. Liked his tape. Came back to school. Defense side of the ball, Will Anderson's obviously your edge one. Alabama edge. Jalen Carter, defense tackle from Georgia, is probably your DT one. Linebacker Noah Sewell. Penny Sewell's brother. Hashtag fun to watch tape for certain. Cornerback, I'm not super certain on this one. I know that Keely Ringo from Georgia, Eli Ricks, who transferred from LSU to Alabama, have been good. I don't love either's tape yet, but I think those are going to be a top of your cornerback class. And then safety, Jordan Battle came back to school from Alabama. He's going to be your de facto safety one heading into next year. So there you have it. Every single position.
Bijan Robinson is awesome. I'm excited for Bijan Robinson.
Next year's running back class is 2017-esque. Is that the McCaffrey, Fournette year?
I think so.
2017-esque.
I hope that there's a Booty versus Sewell like debate, so it can be LSU wide receiver or a Sewell.
That's
you
good.
know,
Yeah.
For just run it back. You know what I'm saying?
We need that. Noah Sewell. Hashtag fun to watch. All right, this is from Deegs Baseball. Sam Howell, Carson Strong, or someone else for the Steelers. I like Strong because of arm and accuracy, but unsure with the injury concerns. He's also not mobile. I think that's the biggest thing with Carson Strong is bringing up was in this class where there are guys that can move. Carson Strong is a pocket guy.
One, I cannot believe they kept Matt Canada or are planning to keep Matt Canada. That one blew my effing mind, honestly. But honestly, I like the idea of Strong. If you're not going to trade for one and you're kind of picking where they are in almost the no man's land, Strong's going to fall. Strong is not going to go in the first round. He had in his knee, what was it? He had a dead bone in his knee that had to be cleared out in high school, his senior season. That's like a degenerative issue that just like doesn't get better. So his knee is like effed. He's got a bad knee, a bum knee, if you will. So people will see that, not have him on the board. But with the game he plays, not mobile at all. He's statue, like I said. He's almost, I think, comp in the draft guides, Ryan Mallett with touch. It's kind of how he plays the game. But that means you can get that at a discount if a lot of people will not be willing to take that bet. So like Strong in round 3, if that's the Steelers' plan, I would not hate instead of QB round 1. But obviously, my thoughts. Sam Howell's current QB1, so that would be nice too.
What do you think of Kenny Pickett? Kenny Pickett's where a lot of people are mocking him right now.
I mean, he obviously could play in that stadium. He showed that. I mean, that's the thing. Playing in the cold. Yeah, I didn't love Pickett's tape going back and watching, but I think the Steelers are going to trade for one, honestly.
Yeah.
I was asked by, who was it? Someone asked me on the social team, asked me to give me who you believe the quarterback for the Steelers will be next year. And I said Kirk Cousins. Wow.
I think a lot of Steelers fans would rather have Kenny Pickett. Let's get to trivia and then the interviews with Lucida Smith, the Virginia Tech guard, and Jojo Doman, the Nebraska slot corner. But let's start with trivia, Mac.
All right, Perk wants to know.
I just called you Mike. I always called you Quinn. Quinn, give us the triv.
Yeah, that is weird. That's like the first time I've heard you call me Mike, at least in a really long time. But Perk wants to know. The Bengals snapped record-long playoff win drought. Raiders now have the third longest active drought in the NFL. Who are the 2 teams above them?
Detroit's got to be up there.
Negative.
Wow. Jacksonville.
No.
What?
Because Jacksonville went to the AFC Championship game.
I'm an idiot.
Third longest.
Blake the Boat.
Drought. So the Raiders are third longest. 2 teams above them. Haven't won playoff games in that long. So the Raiders haven't won since.
Oh, no, wait. Lions are in there. I don't know why I said that. Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say,
the Raiders last won what? 05?
02.
02? Shit. That is a long time.
Yeah,
All right,
so
the Bills snapped theirs. The Browns snapped theirs.
No.
Texans won recently. Yeah. They beat the Bengals. That's one of them.
Twice.
Yeah.
Yates of hell.
Gosh. Who's been back
How about
that long? I think
no.
Lions
Fuck. I don't know.
No, we're going to figure this one out. We could do better. Oh, wow.
Just going through the divisions in my head. I mean, when's the last time Denver won one?
Is it the
I'm so dumb.
Is it the football team?
Negative.
Who is it?
The Dolphins. 2001.
2000?
2001.
Wow.
When's the last time football team won one?
I don't know. I don't know.
You guys
I
ready
do
for the
remember.
next
That's
one?
a funny question because in the stadium in Cincy, when we lost, when the Raiders lost, that guy who's screaming at me, if you listen to the Monday episode, there was a guy who's like screaming in my face the entire time. Mm-hmm. He holds up this big ass L and he's like, 20 years, you're a loser. And I was like, what possessed this dude to come after me? Like I was not there on a scale of 1 to 10, on 10 being the biggest piece of shit I've ever been in the stadium. It was like a 2. Like I was not being an asshole because I was so cold and also like had a monster headache, but whatever. That guy was an asshole.
Washington won one in 2005. Forgot that one. Forgot about that one.
Technically, the football team's never won one and never will. Their name's changing.
Yeah.
All right, next one is from John Binner on Twitter.
Inner.
He wants to know what NFL team has the most top 10 picks on their current roster with 7.
Okay.
Name them.
Like that.
If you can.
Shit.
Team with the most top 10 picks.
7 top 10 picks. Man.
I wanted to say Bucks.
It's not the Bucks.
Who's drafted in the top 10 a lot?
I don't know if that matters, though. I don't know if that's the issue.
It's true. Man. I know the Lions have 4. I just thought of off the top
I don't
of my
think
head.
it's the Lions.
No.
Try it, though. They have got, I don't know. Lions?
It's not the Lions, but their mascot is a big cat.
Big cat. Jacksonville Jaguars?
Is it the Panthers?
It's the Panthers. You wanna
Panthers
take a
have
crack at it?
7?
Okay, so Sam Darnold,
Yes.
J.C. Horn,
Yes.
Stephon Gilmore,
Yes.
Derek Brown.
Derek Brown.
Yep.
When was Shaq Thompson drafted? Was he top 10?
No, he was like 20s.
Christian McCaffrey?
Christian
CMC.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, it's 5.
Here we go.
Yeah, 2 more. Who's our offensive line?
They all stink.
Yeah, they all stink. DJ Moore, was he top 10? No, he's in the 20s.
No, one is very obvious.
Fuck.
Very.
Oh, Brian Burns?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
Brian Burns is like 15. We'll get there.
Is it one of the coaches? Deep cut?
No, it's not a coach.
I was thinking Hassan Reddick, but I think he was in the teens too.
Recent pick.
Recent. Do they have another top 10? We already got Derek Brown, J.C. Horn. Did they have a top 10? The Brian Burns is the year before that.
Yeah, I said Brian Burns. I don't think that's him.
The year before that was
Top 10 pick?
blanking on these.
I don't know. Who is it?
CJ Henderson.
Oh, we got
Duh. That's a tough one.
Wasn't
That was
their
good.
guy.
That was nice.
He's
That was
a
nice.
top
That was
10
nice.
pick.
That was nice. That was
There
nice.
you go.
All right, last one. Who is the only team to not have a game in London yet?
Packers.
Yeah, I knew you'd be all over that one.
Wait, they haven't played a game in London
I
yet?
haven't played a game in London.
Do you ever know your co-host?
Oh, I do. Let's see. This is a bad know my co-host. I don't know why I thought of this
You
one.
stink.
Okay, so the most painful moment in my life was from what injury?
Didn't you knock your teeth out one time?
I did. That was not the most painful. That hurt though.
That had to suck. I heard knocking your teeth out can
Like
stink.
my front teeth out, yeah.
I want to say it was an ankle injury.
No, I have had a bunch of ankle injuries, but I had hand, foot, and mouth disease, which led to me getting epididymitis, which you know what the epididymis is.
Is that your throat?
It's a small sac at the back of your testicles that when it gets inflamed puts pressure.
Oh, no.
And I had like throbbing pain while I had epididymitis for like 2 days. And I sneezed.
Oh.
And I felt like my vision go, dude. It was so bad.
Oh, my God.
The worst pain I've ever had in my entire life.
That sounds terrible.
Not even close. Not even close.
I can't even think of like the worst pain I've ever had. I've like broken fingers before, rolled ankles. I can't think of like the single worst shot of pain.
Yeah, that was.
Mine was what's my favorite episode of The Office?
Oh man, okay. Let's see. You're definitely of the hipster variety, so it's gonna be one that's not necessarily funny.
Oh, shut up.
I'm gonna go with. I don't know if this is one that is my least favorite, so that's why I'm saying it's your favorite.
Great.
The dinner party one.
No, the dinner party one is good though.
Okay.
It's not my favorite, but I do think that is often said as like people's favorite.
Okay, I hate that one.
Mine is what did I tell Max that my favorite episode was? I don't want to like mix it up. Oh, it's the one where Michael Scott finds out Jan Levinson got a divorce and they have to sell that guy the Chili's. That one's fucking phenomenal. It's a phenomenal piece.
Do not remember at all.
That is your Know Your Co-host. Let's get to these interviews now. Lecitus Smith, guard, Virginia Tech, and then we also have my guy, Jojo Doman of Nebraska. Now, Now joining the Tailgate Podcast is Virginia Tech offensive lineman Lecitus Smith. Up there with probably the best name in this draft class. I also love your Zoom name says Lecitus Smith hyphen football player. You're a football guy through and through.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Great to have you on the show, man. Where I'd like to start, honestly, is really speak to your Virginia Tech career. Had an opportunity to really be a mainstay for them for 4 years at Virginia Tech. Over 350 snaps played in all 4 years, 2018, 19, 20, and 2021. Where would you say your game has improved the most over that period? And I guess how important was it to have that much experience, to have that many snaps played at Virginia Tech, obviously, as you go into this next portion of your football career heading to the NFL?
Oh, man, I would say my game improved the most in the passing game. Mm-hmm. Of course, I feel like it improved a lot in the run game as well, in the pulling game, but just really bettering my craft, I guess I should say, in the passing game and, working on my sets a whole lot and hand placements and in the pulling game as well, working on that a lot. This past summer, before the season started, really helping me out a lot. Those are two things I really, really wanted to focus on. I feel like it definitely improved from the 2019 season, going into the 2022 season. I mean, the 2020 season. From the 2020 season to the 2021 season. I apologize about that.
All good.
Those are two things I really wanted to work on, and I definitely feel like it showed on tape that I got better at those things. And now, playing as many snaps as I played really, really helped with my confidence. I was a young guy starting out. I played I think I played 4 to 5 games my redshirt freshman year. And if I go back and look at some film, it's like, oh, my stance really look like that. Oh man, I really set like that. So, just playing more and more snaps to just keep building my confidence and, me watching so much film and looking at myself and seeing on film, okay, I need to correct it. So I did that well, but I can, perfect it. It definitely helped my confidence playing as many snaps as I did.
What's really impressive too about your career at Virginia Tech and something that PFF has contracts with like position and alignment played is you've almost played exclusively at left guard, right? Even going back to your 2018 season, you have not bounced around. You talk to some linemen in college, they play left tackle, right guard, right tackle, all that stuff. However, this season against Richmond, you had a full game at left tackle. Talk to me about that game and how fun it was to kind of step out of that left guard position.
Man, that was a pretty cool game to me. Me switching positions and moving over a spot and playing left tackle. I remember at the beginning of that week, I don't know if it was due to COVID or something like that. That's for the reason of why my Coach Vance Weiss, why he wanted to move me to left tackle. Mm-hmm. But once he said it was happening, I'm sitting like, wow, okay, I never played tackle before, so I really got to work on it. So that whole week, I was at tackle the whole time. I got a few reps at guard, but it was mainly tackle reps during practice. And, that's what really had me ready to go. So come game time, I'm just in my mind like, okay, I've been doing it all week. I've gotten a little bit of work at it before the season started. So, I went out there and gave him my best shot.
That's awesome, man. I think you only had, according to PFF, only 2 pressures allowed at left tackle. Still a strong performance, despite one of the few times you had that opportunity. Now going into, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about this pre-draft process. Going into this pre-draft process, I know you have plans going to the Senior Bowl, going down to Mobile, Alabama, and really testing your talents against some of the best defensive prospects in the country. How excited are you for that opportunity? And I guess what part of that week are you most looking forward to?
Man, I am thrilled to get down to Mobile. Like you said, just see how I match up with some of the top D-line prospects in the country going into this draft. So, like I said, I'm definitely thrilled, definitely ready to put my, my talent on display for all, for a lot of teams to see at the next level. And I feel like I'm really ready for those 3 practice days. Of course, that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I know that's pretty broad, but really ready for all 3 days and ready for one-on-ones, most definitely. Just because I know that's a big part of it. So ready to just see how I match up with a lot of big time guys.
Talking to NFL teams, scouts and stuff, PFF obviously has relationships with all 32 NFL teams. They bring up all the time how important those one-on-ones are at those All-Star Bowls, whether it's the East-West Shrine Bowl, Hula Bowl, or the Senior Bowl. I'm glad you're honing in on that. Have you had any time, I know you're probably training every single day, every single hour, but have you had any time to turn on some tape for some of these guys that are going there, right? Like, have you gotten some opportunities to say, hey, that defensive tackle likes this move or this move? Are you watching tape on the guys you're going to go against?
Yeah. So it's actually pretty tough. It's tougher than some guys think to really just get your hands on, film, and especially everybody's film. We just really don't have access to that kind of stuff. But I've actually been working with a trainer away from Exos, and, he's doing a really good job of, getting me some film and showing me some tape and just showing me different guys that are going to be at the Senior Bowl. So through him, I'm actually seeing, some of the guys I'll be going up against. And I am watching tape looking at, okay, this guy really loves to stutter step into a bull, or really loves to swim, or, two-hand chop with like, kind of into a Euro. So I'm seeing, different moves that D linemen are doing, and I'm definitely, picking up on that, seeing what's their go-to pretty much.
And so you mentioned Exos. Are you in the Arizona area, Carlsbad? I know they're everywhere. Which Exos are you at?
Yes, I'm at Exos in Pensacola, Florida.
Gotcha. The Florida location probably doesn't suck either. They're in fair weather. They're in fair weather areas, regardless of which one you go to. How has that been so far? I talked to a lot of guys who are at one of the Exos facilities, and obviously pour a ton of praise on the trainers that are out there and how that's going. But I think another big part of it too is you get an opportunity to meet some of these guys, right? Meet some of these other prospects and build relationships with guys who are going through the same stuff as you.
Right. It's been great out here for me. It truly has been. I love my housing that I'm staying in, and so that, and I know people may think, that doesn't really matter, but I mean, if I'm comfortable, then I can perform how I need to. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I love where I'm staying. The facility isn't far away at all. It's just across the bridge. Get off on the bridge, and the facility is great. Everybody I'm working with firsthand, great. The nutritionists, all the way to the trainers and the PT staff, like they really know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about, and they're really going to take care of everybody.
I noticed on Virginia Tech's site, I think you're listed at 6'3", 315, and a lot of the times you go into these Exos opportunities or these training opportunities, whether it be for the Combine, the Senior Bowl, looking to either add weight or drop weight. Is there a certain goal weight you have in mind? Are you eating every hour of the day, or are you actually trying to cut? How's the diet stuff been going for you?
No, so I'm actually I did put on a few pounds, but that was on purpose. I definitely wasn't looking to cut weight. 315 is probably the lightest I've ever played at. And, I just thought to myself, I'm not trying to pack on 10, 15 pounds at all. But considering the fact that I am going to the Senior Bowl and there are going to be some big, beefy D tackles there, I thought, okay, maybe I add on maybe 5 pounds. So I'm right around 320 right now. And that's pretty much where I want to be. I'm in that 320, 322 range.
It's such a tough balance, right? Because a big part of your game when you turn on the film is explosiveness and firing out of your stance. But you got to get, sometimes you want to get to this 320, 325 range to go against some of the beefier guys that will be down there at the Senior Bowl. It is a tough balance. It is understated, under-discussed how hard it is for offensive linemen to play this weight thing right, because it's not as easy as like you have to get to the lowest weight for speed at receiver and stuff like that. For offensive linemen, you have to find this range where you do have perfect explosiveness for what you want to be, but also enough weight to keep things going. I'm excited to see you down at the Senior Bowl. I want to go back a little bit to in-season. We talked a little bit about how you've had opportunities to get film and watch some of these guys going to the Senior Bowl. But how about in-season, right? When you know who you're going against, you know this opponent you're going against. What are your tendencies throughout the week, Monday through Saturday, when you turn on the film? What do you look for specifically, pre-snap, post-snap, all that stuff?
Well, starting with pre-snap, I usually like to watch film and look at guys' stances. And just to see kind of, okay, if he put his left hand down, does that mean he's slanting right? Or, vice versa? I understand that usually when guys stagger their feet, they're slanting right or left. If they have a square stance, they're probably trying to two-gap and, probably going to try to stand you up and try to look in the backfield. As far as when the ball is snapped, like I said, then I'll be able to tell if they love to slant and see, okay, they like to walk, they love to blitz. So they'll walk a backer up off the edge, and I know that they're, everybody's going to pinch. So if we're running inside zone, I can't over-exaggerate with my lead step. Those kind kinds of things, especially in the passing game. Like I said, is the guy I'm going against a big bull guy? Does he love the bull rush? Does he love to spin? Does he love to swim? Is he more quicker than stronger? Because you do have guys that are like really, really quick, but don't have much weight behind them. So when the bull comes, it's not as effective. So, I kind of get a feel for, the guy I'm going against to know how so I know I shouldn't really take a lateral set versus this guy. I don't really want to jump in front of him and try to jump him because he's quick and he might swim me. So all those kinds of things are things I look for when I'm watching film. So yeah, I look for all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. How about, do you ever have opportunities to go back, maybe in the off season, watch film on yourself, or even turn on film for NFL guys, right? Guards that you like or offensive linemen that you like that you kind of want to mirror your game after?
Yeah, so I do watch film of myself sometimes. I haven't had much time to do it since I've been training, but whenever I can, I do. And I feel like that's important because that's how oh man, you probably go back and look at something and maybe in the moment you didn't know that was going on, but now it's like, you sit back and you watch film and it's like, oh man, I really leaned in my stance like that, or that punch was kind of late on that play, or all my weight is shifted too far forward. It's different things, and those are just examples, of course, but it's just different things that you may pick up on that you didn't know was happening, that you were actually doing in the season. Mm-hmm. So, but as far as guys that I watch at the next level, I mean, I definitely try to turn on some, and it is highlights, of course. So like I said, it's tough, but the only access I'd have, to watch a film on the guys, probably like getting on YouTube and trying to see if I can find a film on guys like Quentin Nelson or Wyatt Teller. I watch a good bit of his game, and he's kind of a guy like I love to model my game after.
Gotcha, man. Well, we're going to have to get you set up with a PFF Ultimate subscription, man. PFF Ultimate allows you to dive into all this film. Maybe we can hook you up after the call. Last question for you, Lecitus, and I'll let you go. In this process, I think my favorite part of it is talking to guys about these interviews, right? You are going to be sitting down with every scout in the books, every GM, all these head coaches, and all asking the same questions. Do you love football? What do you see on this play? What do you see on that play? I think my favorite one, though, is definitely, what separates you in this class? What do you feel among the guards that are going into the NFL is the difference, right? What separates you from the other guys going into this draft?
I think what kind of separates me in this draft class, and especially amongst like the other guards, is the power that I snap off the ball with, and the suddenness that I snap off the ball with. So I'm not a guy that's slow out of my stance. Whether it's inside zone, outside zone, I'm usually one of the first guys off the ball. Trying to snap onto my guy, trying to snap my head in the right spot. So like I said, I feel like I come with some power behind me, but also that I feel like I'm really good on my feet. I'm nimble on my feet. I don't have heavy feet or anything like that, so I can slide laterally pretty quick. So I'm not just a powerful guy, or I pack a heavy punch and I'm kind of slow-footed and heavy. No, I feel like I'm a really athletic offensive lineman that moves really, really well, that packs a punch. And that being in the run game and the pass game. So I feel like that's what separates me. I have some power behind me, but I'm also really athletic.
Fantastic stuff, Lecitus. Really appreciate the time, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me. I hope you have a great one.
Now joining is current Nebraska defensive back Jojo Doman. We were talking a little bit about the national championship that played last night. What were your initial takeaways, man? Let's start there. Let's get your analysis of this game watching it last night.
Yeah, I thought it was a great game, defensive battle. It was tough to see the Alabama receiver go down, and they kind of lost some options on offense. But, I mean, hat off to Georgia. They wanted it. It's a team game, and we saw some really good football last night.
Absolutely. Some people saying, it was a boring game, only focused on high-scoring affair. But that defense from Georgia and also defense from Alabama, right? Like getting after Stetson Bennett, Will Anderson, that true freshman they have, Dallas Turner, who's like 6'4", 245, burning off the edge. Bama loaded, Georgia loaded. But enough of that game. Let's get to you yourself, man. I want to start by turning the clocks back a little bit and focus on your recruiting story. From Colorado Springs, went to Nebraska, made that decision early on. You've been there actually since 2016. Talk me through your recruiting process, your high school career, and what ultimately drove you to Nebraska.
Man, well, I grew up with the dad as an NFL agent. So I was been around the game since I was 3 years old. And with that being said, like I follow more players than teams and really try to mold my game after and look up to a lot of pro guys. And my dad represented a handful of guys out of Nebraska. And so I came to a game when I was little and kind of, took in the whole Nebraska experience. And by the time I'm in high school, my sophomore year, like I just wanted to play Division I football. I would have been happy with Mountain West. But then my junior year came around, I really took off. And Nebraska ended up being one of the teams that offered me. I had a teammate come here and play. And it kind of all the stars aligned, and I got another offer that same day, but it didn't even feel like it didn't exist because I got offered by Nebraska, and it was pretty set in stone there. I visited CU and Cal Berkeley, but I've been sold on Nebraska since they took a chance on me.
That's fantastic, man. I went to San Diego State, but was looking at Cal Berkeley. Berkeley, man, fantastic school. But San Diego State, good in its own right. I'm glad, man. Nebraska must be happy they got you, man. You have been so successful with them over the course of your career, and something that you've really improved over the course of your career, right? You look at your PFF grades, you've improved every single year of your career at Nebraska, all the way up to what was a phenomenal 2021 campaign, an 87.2 PFF grade, playing a ton of slot cornerback for them. You are, according to PFF, the number 2 graded slot cornerback this year. Before we get to how you honed in at that position and how much you've improved at that position, what positions all did you play in high school? Offense, defense, what were you doing then?
I've played every single position on the football field. And that's a tribute to my dad who didn't play daddy ball and made me play offensive line. And I only got to touch the ball like 5 times a game, but high school, I played wildcat, quarterback, running back, receiver, slot. I was our kicker, our punter, our field goal kicker. And then on defense, I played outside backer and safety. So I've played almost every position, and that's why it's just football to me.
That's phenomenal, man. I think you have to do it, right? It's kind of like part of your paying your dues. You feel bad for the guys who haven't played a little offensive line in their preps period, dude. You got to get some offensive line play to really build up that toughness as a kid. Did you play any other sports?
I played soccer. I played basketball. Those were probably the 2 main sports.
Gotcha. And then when you got to Nebraska, obviously recruited there as a defensive back, did you know kind of the alignment you wanted to hone in on? Was it safety, outside corner, slot corner? I guess, what was your mindset going in to your career at Nebraska, and ultimately how did it all pan out?
Man, I don't even know what my mindset was. I always tell this story. At my graduation party, people were asking me, "Are you going to play this year?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm going to redshirt." And just because it was safe, it was comfortable. And like, I honestly was coming off a labrum surgery on my shoulder. And that was my belief level at that time. Mm-hmm. And then for me to come in and play as a true freshman and play on all 4 special teams at some point during the year, it was such a growth led experience, just because I was playing with guys that were bigger than me, stronger than me, faster than me, more experienced than me. And I just had to learn the game and that much faster, which then kind of helped me the rest of my career. Like I just stayed ahead of the curve, had to develop physically, mentally, to get where I'm at. But it's been a journey nonetheless.
Well, let's talk more about the position where I feel like you've played your best ball, right? Playing in the slot and working as a slot cornerback for Nebraska's defense, something that you've improved on, like I said, every year of your career. I remember talking to Chris Harris Jr., NFL corner, who's played a lot of slot in his career, right? And he talks about, obviously he says, man, it's harder to play in the slot. You got guys got 2-way goes on the inside. You don't have the boundary for help. It is now a starting position, too, in college and in the NFL with how much teams are running 3 wide, 4 wide, et cetera. Is it more difficult than outside corner? I don't know. I feel like I can get behind that argument, right? I think slot quarterback can be that much more difficult. But I guess talk to me about the challenges at slot cornerback compared to outside corner, and I guess where you feel like your game at that position specifically has improved the most.
Yeah, that position is one of the tougher on the defensive end, just because of everything you said. And the offense always wants to put a defender in conflict. And that position, there's a lot of ways to put that position in conflict. So the biggest learning curve for me from playing the position up until this year was understanding what the offense is trying to do to me, how the offense is trying to capitalize on my leverage and put me in conflict. And then having an idea of how the different ways they can do that from different looks, and then being able to defend my weaknesses. So just knowing your assets and your liabilities in every coverage versus every formation, and down and distance and the point in the game, and understanding the psychological component of when this team likes to take shots. So just all those things kind of came together for me, and I was able to put together, a good year. But it was so mental. So much of it's in between the ears that I needed to fail and grow and just, gradually get better.
The challenge too is, even beyond defending talented receivers, and you see colleges, college teams and NFL teams oftentimes putting their best receiver in the slot, right? It's not like there's, some teams obviously have this designated slot receiver, but you'll see Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, Cooper Kupp, all working from the slot, who could obviously pan out on the outside. It's become a more difficult position in coverage as, teams have identified that opportunity, but also you got to play the run, right? Like slot corners have to show up in the run game. I think that's something that's particularly special about your game, right? Willing to come downhill and be an edge presence in the run game. I guess talk about how much your run defense has improved playing this position for Nebraska.
Yeah, it's making it simple and understanding your run fit. Getting a clean run pass read is everything in this game. And my sophomore and junior year, I wouldn't say that sometimes I was guessing out there. And the game was just a little fast. But like I said, just all the successes and all the failures led to me having the season that I had this year. So I wouldn't change a thing about it. And I like what you said about the teams putting the number one receiver in the slot. I don't mind that because he's there for a reason. They're going to get him the ball. And that gives me a chance to get a lick on and reroute or cover their best player, which is just an awesome opportunity. So I love it when teams throw their number one guy in the slot, because it's like you're showing me your cards. Like, I know where the ball's going.
Yeah, tendency. Yeah, you can definitely see, hey, you're putting him in the slot for a reason. You think you have a mismatch. Not today. Jojo Doman in coverage, baby. I'd love to hear about your film preparation process, right? I think talking to defensive backs specifically, it's a chess match, right? You are going against 1, 2, and the slot maybe more than 1 or 2, maybe 2 or 3, 2 or 3 guys that you consistently see, and you have to know their release packages, right? You have to know their tendencies and know what that opposing offense is trying to do. When you turn on the film, walk me through a game week, right? What are you looking at on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I guess walk me through the week?
Yeah, well, you got to understand that offense is all about making plays, and they're going to find their playmakers. So understanding who their offense goes through is probably day one. And also day one is understanding what formations that they feel comfortable in, what personnel packages are we dealing with. So if they're more heavy personnel, I'm going to be playing in the box more this week, and I have to overstudy on the run fits and all the different counters and powers and gap scheme and zone schemes that they can get me in. Versus a more spread team like Ohio State is basically like, the box is going to take care of itself. Like, my job is to set the edge and dominate in the slot. And so it's just different types of games. And on top of, you got to know your opponent. So what their tendencies are on first down, what are their third down? Third down, they get into the sticks, they're blowing the top off in plus or negative territory. Are they taking their shots? When are they doing screens? What's their shot zone? When do they like to take a shot? Just all those little things there. It's just all information that when you're on the battlefield, that it's second nature. I don't have to think about it. I know, because I prepped it all week. I visualized it all week. I prepared for it. And, when they're on the 40-yard line and doubles on first down, and we're in a certain defense, that's they're going to take a shot on this play. So I'm not caught off guard.
Yeah, I think that you have to, you talk to outside corners, right? They don't bring up the run game when I ask that question. They're not as focused on it, right? With you, right? You have to. Yeah, so it's probably a primary part of the game plan there. A couple more things on Nebraska, and then we kind of get to your offseason and what your plans are there. We've had, I'd love to hear your relationship with Scott Frost, right? How has Scott Frost helped change the culture there at Nebraska, and also kind of really set the tone for what Nebraska football is trying to be?
Yeah, I mean, Scott did it here. So to have a Nebraska person, running the show, I think it is good for the state, and everyone's behind him. And I really hope that they can be successful here moving forward. And just really happy about the leadership that we had on our team this past year. We lost a lot of close games, but I don't think without the player-led leadership that we had that we would be in those games.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a positive. You can find the positive in everything. And even though this year didn't show it on the scoreboard, we made some strides as a program and what the standard is. And I know there's some young guys in this program that are going to not only uphold that standard, but create a higher one. So I'm really looking forward to the guys in our locker room stepping up and making a name for themselves and representing the end.
Jumping to the offseason, I know that you accepted an invite to go to the Senior Bowl, such a massive opportunity to go down there in Mobile, the one-on-ones. I'm not sure how much Senior Bowl tape you've watched of previous Senior Bowls, but talking to other defensive backs and receivers there, so much is made of these one-on-ones, right? It's the film that coaches look at, first and foremost for these things, and also scouts as well. How excited are you to get down there and go toe-to-toe with some of the, country's best?
I'm ready to compete, man. And it's not about being perfect. As a defender, you're going to get beat, but it's about making more plays than not. And I'm just ready to compete. Like I said, man, just being at Nebraska, I played the same guys every year. That's why when I get to play the Ohio States and the Michigans, I'm just chomping at the bit, because it's I need new blood. So excited for the new blood at the Senior Bowl and make some relationships that will last a career, and on top of prove to these NFL teams the type of player and person that I am.
That's fantastic, man. We'll actually be down there at the Senior Bowl. We'll have to catch up in person when we get down there. I think a couple more for you here. After the Senior Bowl, this draft process, even at the Senior Bowl, is hectic, right? Team interviews, media interviews, training for the combine, training for pro days, diet, all this extreme stuff. Do you have any high-level goals, or have you written anything down in terms of weight you're trying to hit, certain times you're trying to hit in these drills, right? How are you approaching this insane pre-draft season, right? And I guess what are some of the high-level goals that you have going into what's obviously going to be just a 4-month-long interview?
Yeah. So I don't have any, I guess, performance goals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to run a 4.5, and I want to hit 20 on the bench press. But my main focus, my goals are my systems. Creating systems that are gonna carry beyond this draft process. Like you said, nutrition, sleep, yoga, taking care of my body, and meditation on top of just priming this whole deal, and being the best man I can be, the best athlete I can be, and the best competitor I can be when the lights come on. So I really am approaching this from a holistic lens and looking at it from all angles, and just keeping what's important, and not letting it not start to focus on, the money and everything that comes, the lifestyle that comes with being in the NFL, and just keeping the main thing.
That's phenomenal, man. I got one more question for you. In this pre-draft process, man, you're going to get asked a lot of the same questions with these NFL teams. But my favorite one that is consistently asked, and I love asking players after they receive it what they said, but everyone's going to ask you how much you love football. And I feel like talking to you just for the time that I've had, I feel like your answer is going to be pretty sweet. So when you get that question, what's your first draft on how much you like football?
I was born to play football. Since I could think, I've wanted to play in the NFL every year. For my birthday, when you blow out candles, I know you're not supposed to tell people this, but I wish to play in the NFL. So here I am. I've overcome a lot of adversity to get to where I'm at, and I'm not going to let any obstacle stop me from what's in front of me. So the Lord says what's yours is yours, and I'm really having faith in that.
Fantastic stuff, Jojo. Really appreciate you jumping on, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Yes, sir. See you down at the Senior Bowl.
That's going to do it for this episode of Tailgate. Make sure if you want to get on the mailbag episodes, whether it's voicemail or a written mailbag, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or speakpipe.com/tailgate. Until next time, Austin Gayle, Mike Renner, producer Mike Quinn. Let's get it.